Shalom, 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 yasha'Allah. It's your boy, Brother Shamwa back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called The Days of Babylon Bullying Are Over. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. All right, like I said, today's lesson is going to be called The Days of Babylon Bullying Are Over. All right, this is from G0, right? It says, will Trump's Iran strategy actually prevent war? It says the United States is ramping up its maximum pressure campaign against Iran. It says in a letter sent to Iran's Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, Salakia, if I'm mispronouncing, but it says in early March, President DJ gave Tehran an ultimatum: reach a new nuclear deal with the U.S. within 2 months or face direct military action, bombing the likes of which they have never seen before, as he told NBC News' Kristen Welker on Sunday. It says the letter proposed mediation by the United Arab Emirates, whose emissaries delivered the missive in question, Salakia. It says, and expressed Trump's preference for a diplomatic solution. I would rather have a peace deal than the other option. It says, but the other option will solve the problem, the president said. It says, in 3 weeks, it took the Iranian leadership to figure out how to respond. The U.S. turned up the temperature. So at first came intense airstrikes of single gate fame. It says against Iran's last remaining functional ally in the region, the Houthis in Yemen, starting on March 15th and continuing to this day. It says then the U.S. issued its first ever sanctions against Chinese entities for buying Iranian crude oil, including Teapot Refinery and Shandong, and an import of storage terminal in Guzenhao. It says, and in recent days, the U.S. military deployed a fleet of B-2 stealth bombers capable of carrying the 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs needed to blast through Iran's hardened enrichment sites to its Dago Garcia base in the Indian Ocean. It says, in range of both Yemen and Iran, this move was not unrelated, it says, to Trump's ultimatum, according to the senior U.S. official. Iran finally rejected direct negotiations with the U.S. in a formal response to Trump's letter delivered last Thursday via Euen. It says its preferred mediator, President Mossad Pezeshkian, stated on Sunday that although the Islamic Republic won't speak directly with Trump administration while maximizing pressure is in place, Tehran is willing to engage with Washington indirectly through the ominous. Okay, it says whether Trump's 2-month deadline was to strike a deal or to begin negotiations remains unclear. Either way, there's no chance that the two sides that deeply mistrust each other, especially after Trump unilaterally withdrew from the original nuclear deal in 2018, could reach an agreement over issues as complex as Iran's nuclear program and support for regional proxies in just a couple or a few months, let alone a single one. It says, but does that mean that Trump's ultimatum is doomed to the end of confrontation? Not necessarily. In fact, escalate to de-escalate strategies could be the best hope to avoid crisis this year. It says, while U.S. intelligence assesses that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, it has become a threshold nuclear state with enough 60% enriched uranium to produce 6 nuclear weapons. If enriched to 90%, the ability to dash to a bomb in about 6 months, the weaponizing a device would probably take it 1 to 2 years. It says European governments have long made it clear that unless Iran reins in its enrichment activities by this summer, they will snap back the Euen sanctions that were lifted as part of the 2015 nuclear deal before the agreement expires in October. And it says, and they can no longer do so. It says Iran has vowed to respond to snapback sanctions by withdrawing from the nuclear non-proliferation treaty given the precedent set by North Korea, whose NPT exit in 2003 was followed by ever greater steps toward weaponization. And the already advanced state of Tehran's nuclear program, NPT withdrawal, could be the action forcing event Israel needs to convince Trump to support a joint strike on Iran's underground nuclear facilities. And you see that, right? There's a lot going on, all right? And you see who's in the middle of it, right? Israel, right? The least shall draw them out, okay? That's what the scriptures say. But guess what? As we see, right, these bullying tactics are no longer accepted by these other countries, man. Right? You know how, a bully, he'll try to go and overpower people, but then when people stand up, right, and call them bluff, right, then all of a sudden you see that those tactics don't work anymore. All right, and that's what's happening to Babylon, man. Right, Babylon's been that bully talking a whole lot of stuff. That loud barking dog that's not biting. All right, and what they'll do, they'll try to get little people. Like a bully. The bully would try to get the little people. He's not gonna go against somebody his size, right? That's how you see right now, right? With Gog, right? You see Gog or Russia, right? You see what, hey, Babylon doesn't want no smoke with them, right? And they already know it. But see, what they don't understand too, or they do understand, but guess what? It's all of Yahawah's will, right? If they mess with Iran, guess what? Who's going to have their back, right? If the bully tries to mess with, with Iran, who's going to have their back? It's going to be Gog, all right? Or Russia, okay? Well, according to the scriptures, okay? Let's get that real quick. Let's go to it real quick. Just got a couple of them, right? And say, man, this stuff is going down, man. All right, this stuff is going down. You got to be paying attention. What I'm looking for, Ezekiel 38, right? Ezekiel chapter 38, prophecy against Gog, right, and the future invasion. So it says, and the word of Yahawah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. All right, and Gog is Russia, right? Is what Russia is today. Okay, but it says, jump down. Verse 4 says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, right? Because remember, the king's heart is in the hands of Yahawah. All right, Proverbs 21:1, right? And as a river, he turns it, right? So the Lord is going to put the spirit, upon, like it says, I will put hooks in thy jaws, okay? You put hooks in their jaws, hey, you can move them whatever way you want to move. The Lord is moving this stuff, okay? And nobody's afraid of the bully anymore, okay? Big bad bully Babylon, hey, it's no more. All right. So it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horsemen and horses and horsemen, Salakia, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, getting ready for this war. All right. Babylon wants to mess with, Iran, which is Persia. Guess what? Guess who's going to be stepping in, right? Gog, right? The old USSR or Russia. All right. It says, Persia and Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Okay. And Persia is Iran. All right. It says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togar and the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Right. And you see a lot of people are joining the side of Russia. All right. Everybody's taking their sides. Right. And you see the only two you see is over there in Israel, right? And here in Babylon. All right. And it said the least is going to draw them out. And you see what they're trying to do. They're trying to, get them to do a joint airstrike, right, with them. Okay. It says the least of the flock shall draw them out. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. Jeremiah 50 and 45. Let's see. Jeremiah. Whoops. Do it again. Jeremiah 50. And verse number. Salakia. 45. All right. It says, therefore, this is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse number 45. It says, therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahawah Bahasham that he have taken against Babylon, and his purpose that he have purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. All right. Because ultimately what? We know that those missiles, right? The waster, right? Where are they going to be going? They're going to be headed to Babylon, the majority of them, right? And they're also going to be headed to Israel. All right. But ultimately the land of Israel is going to be built back. All right. But this place is going to be desolate. All right. This bully is going to be knocked out and is not going to get up anymore. Okay. People they're not falling for the bully tactics anymore. All right. This devil, he's he has to have his foot in everybody's business, right? And now people are telling, basically, hey, mind your own business, man. Right? Habakkuk 2. And you trying to use these bully tactics, and guess what? People are standing firm. They're like they're not moving no more. All right. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse number 5. It says, ye also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Right? This dude, what? He you see how Esau does. All right. They especially here, right, in Babylon, what do? They have bases in damn near all these countries. They've set up bases. They've set up different, quarters, embassies, all these different things, all up in everybody else's business. All right. It says, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, right? And that's what they're trying to do, right? And it's going to backfire on them, right? Because they're trying to keep all cling the people all to them. All right. But ultimately they're the most detested. All right. What is that? In Obadiah, right? It says, Obadiah verse 2, behold, we start at verse 1. The vision of Obadiah saith Yahawah Bahasham Shai thy power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahawah Bahasham Shai, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. And that's what's about to happen. All right. This place is hey, the bullying tactics is done. Right? Nobody's falling for that no more. All right. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Right? In this place, you see it. Right? Your boy DJ just put he basically put tariffs on everybody. I believe it was like 10% tariffs on everybody. Right? Hey, he he is not caring. All right. And he's using this tactic. If you don't make these negotiations, then it's gonna be trouble, right? This is what. But guess what? Those days of bullying are done, right? And people are now starting to, these other nations, right? They're waking up out of that drunken estate. All right. What's that? Joel 3. And let's jump to Joel 3, and let's jump to verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. It says, let the weak say, I am strong. All right. And that's what you see what's happening now, right? These nations who were getting bullied by Babylon, they're starting to stand up. All right. Because now they got and now they got backup, right, with Gog, right? And Gog wants all the smoke. Gog is that I wish it would types, That's what the Lord is putting the spirit on them, right? Putin is like, hey, listen, I've been itching. I've been itching to try to push this button. Okay. And so guess what? People are not falling for that bully tactic no more. So it says, let the weak say, I am strong. All right. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, all right, or Yahawashi. All right. For I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. The Lord is playing his chess move, and he's bringing these nations, into that valley. All right. They're all over there in that Middle East right there. All right. Because that's where it's about to go down. Okay. This stuff is about to go down. All right. What does it tell you? In the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 11 and verse number 14, right? It says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Okay. This thing is right upon us, right? This is right upon us. All right. We know ultimately before, them ICBM missiles, start, causing chaos, the MOTB has to be implemented. Okay. And so, hey, but we're right here. We're right there. This movie is the ending of this movie is going to be spectacular. All right. In the minute Yahawah Bahasham Shai, and you're at the edge of the seat, man, with the popcorn, cheering it on, while everybody's trying to make this stuff great again. Everybody's trying to, these folks think that they can still bully these other nations. Nope. The scriptures tell you, man. Right. And they ready for all the smoke, and it's getting ready to go down. All right. These prophecies are getting ready to be fulfilled. All right. And we're watching it. All right. We're watching it, So continue to watch and see what's going on. Matter of fact, let's get one of my favorite ones. Second Esdras, right? Second Esdras, and Second Esdras 9 and verse number 5. Start at verse 4. It says, "Then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning," right? They were prophesied, right? It's to speak something before it happens. Yahawashi has prophesied this long ago, all right? And like the book of Habakkuk, what does it say? Though it tarry, wait for it, but it shall surely come, and in the end, it will not tarry, right? But it shall come. Paraphrasing, okay? So it says, "For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." And we see the manifestations of the ending, in spectacular form. All right? We're watching, we're looking at these prophecies, and we're watching this stuff come down, man. Call on Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. It says, "Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs," right? It's going to be spectacular, like no other movie, no other show that you've ever seen, right? This is going to be the greatest ending of all time, all right? Because while everybody's going to be sitting there thinking they coming up, thinking they doing it, guess who's coming? How about Shem Yahawashi coming to whoop everybody, take it all over. All right. So listen, this is, hey, the bullying is over now. All right. Babylon's days of bullying are done. Okay. And guess what? Nobody's falling for it no more. Okay. And the scriptures tell you, man, hey, listen, we in these times, man. This is the time, and this is, you still got grace period, for all you, hey, you need to be repenting, coming back to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, your power, because it's about to get very, very crazy out here, right? Very crazy, all right? So I just wanted to do this quick lesson. Like I said, Lord's will, this was edifying, right? With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Kol Hala Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Peace and blessings to the elect, the 12 tribes scattered abroad. A mighty shalom to the 144,000, men, and to the rest of the elect. Stay diligent, stay focused, keep praying for one another. All right, keep watching. Okay, keep watching these prophecies. And guess what? These things are the end is manifesting itself, and we're watching it play out. All right, we're watching it play out, and we have our cover of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Okay, and with that, I want to say shalom.